Okay, welcome back everyone. Now to the second question. We've already solved x in the first video. Second video, we want to look at x cos x. So let's move over to this page and do x integral. If we ask to evaluate the integral of x cos x dx. Now I want to remind you of the rule again. That first of all, when you see questions like this x and cos x, you just remember the differentiation by parts rule, integration by parts rule. It says v du dx must be equal to uv minus u dv dx. So the formula says v du dx equals to uv minus u dv dx. Now remember I told us who should we call v and who should we call u. Let me just take you back to this page again to remind you that possible values of v should be inverse trigonometric functions and logarithmic functions. Possible values of du dx should be exponential functions and trigonometric functions like cos x, cos 2x and sin 3x. Please do not confuse inverse trigonometric functions with normal trigonometric functions. You can see that inverse trigonometric functions, you have sine inverse of x, cos inverse of x, tan inverse of x. They contain inverse. But the normal trigonometric functions do not have inverse. This is just cos x, cos 2x, sin 3x. So the possible values of du dx should be normal trigonometric functions. So now going back to that question, you find out that cos x here is a normal trigonometric functions. So these are two questions. Our question is x and cos x. So we have x and we have cos x. One of them must be called u, one of them must be called v, one of them must be called du dx. Now, based on that rule, our v therefore must be equal to x, and our du dx must be equal to cos x. Now, someone might be wondering, but there's no rule for is it that x should always be called v? No. People like x that do not have complex identities can either be v, can be du dx, they don't matter. But the rules are made for complex identities like logarithm, trigonometric functions, exponential. Do you get? Every other quantities, every other identities like x, 2x, x squared, they don't have rules for them. They can be anything. They can be v, they can be du dx. Do you get? But anything that has to do with cos x, sine inverse of x, e raised by x, they have rules. You can't just put them anyway. You can't just call them anything. If not, you will not get a correct answer, or you make the work more difficult for you. Are we together, class? So when integrating, we only have rules for complex identities like, look at again, we have inverse trigonometric functions v. They must be v, you must call them v. If you have them in a function, you must call them v. Logarithmic functions, you must call them v. Now, who do you call du dx? Exponential functions, trigonometric functions. Anybody that is not mentioned in this rule can be called anything. It can be v, it can be du dx, they don't matter. But these people, when they are found in your question, you must give them these rightful identities. Are we together, class? Now, let's go back to our question and actually solve now. So I haven't said this v is x and cos x is du dx. Don't forget, before you start doing integration by parts, split your question into 2x and cos x, right? Now you ask yourself, who should I call v, who should I call du dx? Because one of them must be v, one of them must be du dx. Now, as I've explained, anytime you have a cos x in a question, that cosine function must be du dx. All trigonometric functions, they must be du dx. So if cos x is du dx, then x should be v then. So you see why I said v is x and du dx is cos x. Now coming to this other right hand side. So we have sorted this left hand side, right? Coming to this right hand side. This dx here just means integrate. Do you get? This means integrate, so that's not a problem. Coming to this right hand side now, we need u and we need v. Thank God we already have a v is x, but we need u. Now if the u dx is cos x, what should be u? Now if you watch the last video, you see that anytime you are giving du ds or du d anything, you have to find a quantity. You have to integrate this to get this. If du ds is cos x, to get u, you integrate du dx. So integrating cos x, of course, must give you sin x, positive sin x. We also need dv dx in this formula, dv dx. If v is x, what must be dv dx? dv dx means differentiate v, and that will give you what? 1. Differentiation of x is 1. Remember from differentiation rule that when you differentiate x, you have 1. Now we have everything to solve our integration now. What we now do is to say that u, let's apply the rule now. U, who is u? U is sine x, multiply by v, who is v? X, minus integral. We are following this formula, remember. Integral u is u again, sine x. And who is dv dx? dv dx is what? 1. Then dx. So class, sine x times x is x sine x minus integral. Sine x times 1 is sine x dx. Class, as long as there's this integral sign here, you are not done. This integral sign and this dx means you have to integrate sine x again. So that will be x sine x minus, integration of sine x gives you minus cos x. Integration of sine x gives you minus cos x. So when you multiply minus times minus, you're going to have plus. So our final answer will be x sine x plus cos x plus c. Of course, anytime you integrate, always have plus c at your final answer. So that is the explanation to this. Now, let's go to the third aspect, which is third question, which is x e raised by x dx. Let's solve for x e raised to power x dx. X, let's do it on this page. X e raised by x dx. Integral x e raised by x dx. I still want to remind you again that you write down your integration by part formula v du dx equals to uv minus integral u dv dx. This is the formula. This kind of questions, you need several practice before you get it. Do you understand? Now, don't forget you have x and you have e raised by x. Now ask yourself, who should you, focus on this e raised by x first. X can be called anything, but e raised by x is where the challenge is. Who should you call e raised to power x? Let's go back to the rule again. You see that e raised by x means exponential functions. So du dx must be e raised by x or e raised by 5x. So it means that amongst these two, where's our question again? Yes. Among these two, this guy must be called du dx. And this guy will be called x. So v equals to x. And du dx equals to e raised by x. Now don't forget we need to find dv dx. If v is x, dv dx means differentiate x, you're going to have 1. And du dx, you need to find u. To get u from du dx, you need to integrate e raised by x, you're still going to have e raised by x. Now let's apply the formula now. We have everything to need to apply the formula. Who is u? U is e raised to power x. Who is v? V is x minus integral. Remember, I'm following the formula u again. Who is u? E raised by x. Who is dv dx? dv dx is 1 times 1 dx. So e raised by x times x gives us x e raised by x minus integral. E raised by x times 1 is e raised by x dx. Now, as long as I still have this integral sign and this dx, means integrate e raised by x. Integration of e raised by x, luckily for us, is still e raised by x. So we're going to have e raised by x plus what? Plus c. This is the final answer. Please, what I advise you to do is to watch this video again and again till you finally get it. You have to watch it, pause it as many times as possible. Be with your writing material so you can be revising, pause it, and you get it. Thank you very much.